All right, back for another Tuesday live stream, top of the hour, and we are live. So, on today's episode, we're going to talk about how buyers can be liars and how saying no allows you to clearly define your niche a little bit better. So, that's what we got. We're still here to answer marketing questions and help you get unstuck. So, I got more news for you. I'll get to you guys after the intro. All right, so here's kind of where we're at right now. Um, Last couple of weeks, have been kind of titled the Unstuck sessions, and I wanted to continue on our conversation that we had last week about niching down, but I didn't want to make a new episode of it, if that makes sense, because this is just a continuation of the conversation that we were having last week about niching down. Specifically, we're going to talk about why it's important to flex your no muscle. And when I say buyers can be liars, the concept behind that is a lot of times people will tell you what they want, but then they'll speak differently when it comes to actually paying for things. And so you have to be able to weigh out that information and make a rational decision as a business owner. And that is the real challenge because a lot of times people will ask you to stretch and go beyond what the scope of your services are or discount yourself or even do a lower quality service than what you're used to just to meet their dollar expectations. And then when you do that, they won't circle back to you to utilize you again. And so basically you're stuck in this cascade of one-off services, one-off services, one-off services don't really align with anybody's specific needs. And you feel bad because you probably haven't charged enough. It's something you don't quite really want to do, or you're not happy with the quality output that you're saying putting out. So that's why I'm saying flex your no muscle, buyers can be liars. And so that's how we can kind of define our niche. Conversations I've had with fledgling business owners this week, people that are interested in getting into the business thing. One of the things that I always get pushed back on is the concept of defining who your service is not for. That's a very important concept when you are coming up with a business idea or a new product line or whatever. You have to clearly define who the service is not appropriate for. And so I'll probably pull up an example of one of my businesses and how I put it in the copy to really define what the service is for and who the service is for and who it isn't for. But a lot of times we get scared to do so as business owners because we feel like we're shutting out opportunities. Well, really, what you're doing is you're opening yourself up to new opportunities. When you say no to a service to a product or service that isn't quite what you do or doesn't align with who you want to be as a business owner, you're actually giving yourself power and you're giving yourself freedom. You're also taking a client that probably wouldn't have been satisfied regardless of how much you flexed on what you created for them. And you're putting them in a position where they can get their needs met better, or in some cases, and let's be honest, some cases is passing it over to a competitor and letting that person be your competitor's headache. And I've seen it played both ways. And so we'll talk about maybe some examples or whatnot, but the idea is being able to walk away from jobs that you're not comfortable with is one of the benefits, perks of being a business owner. When you work for somebody else, you kind of take whoever walks in the door, whoever they say that you're supposed to work with. I ran into it one time. Um, I was managing family support workers, and we had a client come through who was, I may be pretty blunt. This dude was a big racist. I mean, um, he laid it out. He laid it out in basically he told us, and he told my superiors that the court ordered family support services for him. So it's even funnier because the court ordered it for his grandkid to remain in the home. And so what happened was, this dude had a lot of money and he had a lot of biases. And so every other family support agency pretty much in the city. It said, your demands are ridiculous. We're not going to meet them. We're not going to humiliate our staff by having them work with you and comport to your demands. And I'll get to what his demands were in a second. But um, the agency I was with basically said, yeah, well, we got to service them. Which on one hand, it makes sense. On the other hand, um, you're kind of in my mind, you're kind of enabling. Um, it was kind of an enabling kind of thing because there was no pushback against it. He had a court ordered service, a court mandated service, and instead of going along with the service to maintain the kid in the home, he wanted to lay down all of his stipulations for the outcomes of the service, and his stipulations were based on, I don't want any black or brown workers coming to my house, and if they do, they have to come in through the back door. He didn't have that stipulation for white workers, but it was for black and brown workers. And so a lot of other agencies scoffed, laughed, and said, no, we are not doing that. There's no way we're doing that. We're not going to put our workers through that. I understand the flexibility of the agency I was working with, I guess. And I know how people in higher up positions kind of view things when they're disconnected from the reality of it. But for me, I'm looking at it like, okay, my workers are going to be the ones that have to go and deal with this dude and service him. And I'm going to be the one that has to go supervise. I'm not going to just send my workers into a home with a dude that's expressed racist ideologies or whatnot, just leave them to their own devices without feeling supported. Matter of fact, I really wasn't even going to have any, I was not going to subject my black workers to that and my brown workers to that because it wasn't fair to them. But on the other hand, it's like, well, if I got to go supervise them, am I supposed to walk in through the back door? I'm not walking through anybody's back door. I don't have to come into the black only entrance. At the time it was the 2010s. I'm not doing that. And so my pushback was, I think you guys probably need to find a white supervisor or white workers to kind of manage this case because this client is unreasonable. And there was a lot of back and forth between that. It's one of the things that probably got me, one of the many things that probably got me in trouble because I was pretty staunch on that and basically say, that's kind of the stuff my grandpa had to do. Go through side doors and things along those lines. And my grandma had to do that kind of stuff. To a degree, my mom had to do that kind of stuff. I have no interest in servicing somebody that doesn't view me as a human being worthy of dignity and respect. And I don't think it's fair for our workers to have to go deal with that in the completion of their job. And I think the other agencies laid down a moral example that basically I wish my agency would have followed a little bit better because they basically said, this man's being unreasonable. He's asking, he's making specific race-based demands on the workers. He's going to treat workers as second-class citizens if they come in the house. We're not going to provide services. We're not going to provide people for him to abuse. That was an instance where, ideally you can say, yeah, our mission is to help kids and families, but we're not going to do it at the expense of our own workers. And I think the bigger stance would have been for them to kind of align with what all the other agencies in town to say, there's no way we're servicing this. And flex the no muscle a little bit and say, if he wants services, he's got to treat everybody equally. Otherwise, he gets no services. So there's that. But that's a very specific stance. That's a very specific example of an agency kind of bending to the will of a client to the detriment of the people that provide the day-to-day service. And a lot of times some business owners do that to themselves on a daily basis where they take on work that they don't really want to do because it's a payday. And we got to be honest about it. A lot of times freelancers and business owners alike take on work that may not exactly fit with what they really want to do because they need the money or because they think that by servicing this specific client that doesn't exactly meet what their expectations for their business is, that somehow it's going to pay it forward for them, and it's going to be a benefit to them in the future. And I'm here to tell you, in a lot of cases, that's not realistic thinking. That's not really how it works. More times than not, when you offer a degraded version of your services just to meet and just to catch a client, a lot of times what happens is that client churns regardless, because they're transactional anyway. They weren't really there because, they weren't there because of you're offering the highest quality service or whatever. They came in the door because you were available, and then they took advantage of that, and so they off to the next person that's available. And the reality is, you do not want to fill your roster and stack your bench with clients like that are in that transactional mode where they're always looking for a better deal. You want clients that love you, they love your services, they're pleased with what you have to offer, and the price isn't an issue because they're happy with what they're getting in exchange for the price. So it always feels like a deal to them. You could double your price and it still feels like a value to them. Those are the clients that you want, the clients that want you. I think a lot of times in the consumer world, specifically, we get inundated with, well, we're cheaper, cost less, we're the lowest priced option, and blah, blah, blah. And we're kind of inundated with that information, and we make decisions based on price, and we end up paying down for lesser quality, and then we're chronically unhappy with what we get for cheaper quality. And even sometimes you pay the discounted rate for something that's cheaper. You get it. It does meet all your needs, but you're still not happy with it because at the end of the day, you have a little thing in your brain that says you didn't pay enough for this. And so you're always going to, mentally devalue and subconsciously devalue the things that you don't feel like you spent an adequate amount of money or resources on. Business owners, and switching from the consumer to the business owner, that can be a contagious mindset where you really devalue you devalue your products or services, and it's constantly in the back of your mind that you're not worth what you're asking because you never ask for what you're worth. It's a vicious cycle. So that being said, learning how to say no, learning how to look at what a client is specifically asking you. If they're asking for alterations or discounts or whatever on your services, you need to sit down and weigh out whether that aligns with who you want to be as a business owner. That's a very important consideration that a lot of people don't make. When when you lead with the discount, you're not really thinking about what the discount says about your product or service. When you lead with the discount basically says this thing isn't worth what they're asking for it. It's worth this price. It's really worth this price. So you have to be strategic in your application of discounts and things along those lines. One of the insidious things that I've seen, in my business ownership journey was the way that Groupon specifically had a lot of business owners over a barrel, specifically when it came to services. Because Groupon put people in the mode of, well, you can almost never say no. You can almost never say no. And then Groupon takes so much off the top. And this is a couple of years ago. I abandoned it because when I read the fine print, it was so egregious how much they were skimming from it that, you were actually losing money as a business owner on every Groupon deal that you made or Groupon thing that you sold. So the reality is, people will Groupon you to death, and they will come in and use that Groupon discount, and then they'll get the services, and you'll end up giving them at a loss because the math on those Groupon deals is really, really funky. And not only did you give a full complimentary of your best services for a tremendous discount based on the Groupon thing, you're actually losing money on the deal because Groupon has different fees that they take out, off the top. And there are lots of little systems that are there are a lot of little services that are kind of set up for that. But Groupon was notorious because they took off so much. And business owners were kind of trapped with providing services. Either they had to grossly inflate the price of the services just to break even on it, or they just had to accept the fact that they had to come maybe say, well, this is bringing in, I'm operating at a loss here on every product or service I sell on this Groupon thing, but maybe I can buy some goodwill and this person will come back and pay full price for product or service down the road. It doesn't work like that. You know, very frequent, very rarely. Even my wife was huge into the Groupon stuff for restaurants and deals and stuff. I can maybe count on my hands how frequently we went back after we used a Groupon. More times than not, once the deal was over, we were kind of done with services because either we didn't value the cost of the services at full freight. We can go get it. We can go get better quality services for a lesser price somewhere else, or it was great for a one-time thing. Like we want to go out to try out this restaurant. Let's go out and pull out the Groupon and go eat there. But it's may not be a place that we go back and visit. It was just kind of a transactional thing. Groupon by nature, back in the days, it brought in very transactional clientele. People that were literally only there because it was cheap. You do not want to fill your roster with clients like that because you'll never be able to make a profit because constantly you're going to be devaluing your services. You never want to be seen as a discount service. And the only way that you avoid being somebody's discount is by telling people no. No, I won't. No, I won't give it to you cheap. No, I don't have the discount for you. No, the free trial is not indefinite. No, 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 no. Well, such and such says that they can do it for cheaper. Okay, then go to such and such. Well, why is your product this price, but I can go get it at Walmart for this price? I don't know. Maybe you should go to Walmart and get it. And then you can kind of come back and do some market research and tell me. The thing is, they never intended to actually go to Walmart. They expected you to match Walmart's prices, even though you may be offering an elevated level of service compared to what they would get somewhere else. So I think it's one of those concepts where, you got to, if you don't know what your value is, people aren't going to give it to you. And it's very rare that you're going to run into somebody who's straight up with you and says, I would pay double. I'd gladly pay double for what you're offering because what you're giving me is that valuable. You're blessed when you interact with those kind of people that are shocked by how low your prices are and say, I would pay more for this because they're giving you a signal like your services are worth more than what you're asking for. It's feedback that is worth implementing. But you never want to be in that. You never want to be in that Groupon place. You don't want to be in the cheapest deals place. You don't want people to be introduced because of a deal. If you have some kind of introductory deal, you need to have some upsells packaged along with it so that you can make it work for you. Or you need to deliver such a high quality service that it far exceeds the money that they spent on the discounted service so that now they're like, okay, this thing is a deal even at full price. Those are the considerations you need to have when you are leading with one of those loss leader kind of deals where it's like, I'm going to lose money on every client interaction up front, but I'm going to make money on the back end. You have to figure out how you're going to convert those clients. And so I would not recommend doing leading with the discount unless you have some strong conversion, a system in place to convert, one-time clients into recurring clients. I would have that strong consideration. But up until that point, when somebody's asking you, if they come to you asking you for a degraded version of your product or service for a cheaper price, say no. Freelancers specifically, have your price in mind and don't back off of that price. If somebody wants a cheaper version, then you start stripping features off until you reach a price point that they're happy with. But do not offer full price for a discount. it's a bad place to be. People that are on Fiverr constantly live in that kind of hell, where they're competing with not only, uh, they're basically putting in competition with themselves. They're bargaining against themselves because you got a bunch of other people in that marketplace offering similar services, and the entire concept of Fiverr is cheap and fast. And there's not a heck of a whole lot of room for premium in that space where it's cheap and fast. The people that can offer premium are the people that were in early. The people that came in early and have the big names on Fiverr. And if you use Fiverr, you know what I'm talking about. But the people that have the longer term more customers, more clients, more experience on the platform, they can offer more premium services. But when you first come on to Fiverr, you are literally competing with every other person, and it's a complete race to the bottom from the get-go. And that can seep over into how you conduct business in the real world, because you can't really drive. Fiverr doesn't allow you to drive your business to off-site business. Everything has to happen on the platform. It's not, you can't drive them to your own website for your own agency or whatnot. It's got to be facilitated through Fiverr. There are rules against doing that, because I was looking at doing that, but then I saw the rules that say, well, we will delete your account if you have outside websites attached to this. And the reason why is because as long as everybody's on platform, you're competing against everybody on the platform, basically. And your price has to be in line with everybody else on the platform. It can't be a whole lot more. It can't be a premium service, really, because there's a dozen other people offering that same service, and there's not a lot of things that can differentiate you. But when you have a website where you can actually steer somebody to and showcase your best work and show them that you do custom order stuff and show them the difference in quality and customer service and things like that, and then capture their information, you could upsell them other services that are related to their interests and stuff like that. That doesn't do a lot of business for Fiverr. They're kind of cut out of that, because more time than not, when you have your own website, you have your own payment processing set up and your own way to capture money, and you're not having split any money with any other intermediary aside from credit card fees. So that's why Fiverr keeps you trapped on the platform. It's a fantastic way for you to discount yourself. That's something that can seep into your business model. So learning how to say no to non-premium services is a benefit. And so the place I'm digging my heels in on is this: don't offer discounts. Learn how to say no to clients that don't cleanly align with what you're asking for from your clients. Don't align with clients that say, well, such and such will give it to me for cheaper. Your response needs to be, then sounds like they're the better fit for you. I cannot do services at this price point. And it can fit a lot of different industries, is what I'm saying. Whenever somebody comes to you, don't get into the price matching thing. Save that. Let Walmart do that, because Walmart has the billions of dollars of reserve money to be able to do that. And, people come to Walmart, just to walk around sometimes, and they end up buying stuff. So for them, Walmart never has a shortage of customers, is what I'm saying. There's never a threat of them not having enough people come through their store to pay the bills. And that's why they can offer everything at a tremendous discount. And that's why they can also kind of strong arm people that produce products into giving them the cheapest rates imaginable, because, Walmart can buy it in bulk, and they're dealing with a lot of other people that are producing similar products. And so you can be easily replaced in their minds. And you can be easily replaced as somebody that provides products for them to sell. You can be easily replaced as a customer. You can be easily replaced as a vendor for them. They got that kind of money to do that kind of stuff. You as a business owner do not have that kind of money. You don't have that kind of money to take sometimes a loss on a bunch of orders in the hopes that it will build goodwill with people that are absolutely looking for the cheapest option available, and they're really not invested in you as a business owner. So I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Learn how to say no. Buyers are liars. That's the reality of the situation. Um, it's not, a slander against people that pay for services or whatnot, but a lot of times people are disconnected from the real why of why they bought something. You know, they make up a story on the back end to rationalize why they paid for something that they paid for. And so you can't always trust that word. So I'm opening it up for questions or comments or anything like that. Realistically, I want to be able to get you unstuck. So if you're stuck in a part of your business, a part of your marketing, your launch or whatever, this is the time to ask questions. And so while I do that, I'm putting that out there to ask questions, put them in the chat. You can submit them via email, which is mail@isellwords.net. I guess I need to scroll that. I need to scroll that banner too. But um, you know, I really want you. I really want to open this up as a place to ask questions and get yourself unstuck. So if there's an element of your business or your marketing, maybe you don't know what's the best way to get your message out there. What's the best platform? Drop it in the comments, and I can start working through it for you. Um, if you have a product but you don't really quite know how to target it, or you have a business concept but you don't quite know who to pursue, this is an opportunity to get started, and I can kind of give you a surface level answer, and we can always follow up with the unstuck or sticking points meeting to really assess all the different sticking points that you're having with your launch. Because a lot of times the failure to launch isn't in, you know, well, you just completely failed. A lot of times is you don't quite have enough information to move forward. You don't feel comfortable in the amount of information that you have to move forward and make a good decision. And so, really, it's a small nudge to get the rock rolling downhill. And so, I just want to open the floor for those. And so, I'm gonna sit here and see if anything comes through. Otherwise, let's see. I got a few minutes left, and so we'll just continue to sit here and talk about the buyers or liars thing. The buyers or liars thing is important because you also have to understand who your niche is, and you have to be very comfortable in pursuing that niche to the point where you are almost selective in the kind of clients that you work with. A lot of times, and that doesn't just go for businesses; that goes for nonprofits too, where you serve the people that you're supposed to serve, and you stay on message for the people you're supposed to serve, and the people that you cannot serve or don't fit within that niche either is creating something new specifically to serve that demographic or that group of clients, or you just say no and here's some better options for you. But I'm not saying that your business shouldn't adjust, and if there's a new opportunity, you shouldn't take it. But be mindful. Every new niche that you open up, every new niche that you jump into, you got to be willing to commit a couple $1,000s to marketing that thing and growing it. And I think that's the level of discipline that is hard for a lot of business owners to wrap their head around, because when you're a business owner, you make your own rules. And so you feel like, oh, I can handle this, or I can handle that. But do you have a system in place to market this new service or that new service? Are you going to commit the dollars and time that it takes to grow this new service or that new service? You got to solicit customer feedback to tailor make that service and make the client experience something that's worth coming back to. You have to have those level of considerations in mind. So that's why discipline with your niche is really important. And I can tell you from experience, try it. When you have the ability to do a lot of different things, it's really easy to fall down that yes rabbit hole of, yeah, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Yeah, I can design your website. I can also do your logo. I can do your video work and do your audio work. Photographs, I'm not great at. I know somebody who can do that. I can absolutely help you write the copy for your website. And I'm speaking from experience. These are all things I know how to do. I can build your website. I can write the homepage. I can come up with a good call to action. I can shoot a video for you. I mean, I could even take it to Facebook, create an ad, and post it. I can look at the stuff that people are searching and retarget them. So I can basically see all the people that have visited your website who are on Facebook and show them the ad again on the Facebook. I can retarget. I know how to do all that stuff. But can I do it for every single client all the time? No. Can I do it consistently for a handful of clients? Absolutely, yeah, I can. Is always worth being able to switch disciplines and stuff like that? No, it's not, because it's a lot of emotional toll switching disciplines all the time to do different things. I know how to do a lot of things, but the rabbit hole I fell down was never being able to say no in terms of a service that I knew how to do. So the niche part, it requires daily discipline for me. It requires daily discipline to stay on message, daily discipline to say, okay, this is the path I've chosen and this is where we're going. That's why it was so imperative for us to launch the Unstuck sessions, because this is something that we feel 100% about. Yes, we are a full stack marketing agency. And for the right price, we can manage all your marketing, from the social media management to some light graphic design work, to some web design, to some light web design work, to heavy video content, to branded video content, to even launching your own podcast. We can do it all if the price is right. And the price allows us to focus our full attention on the thing that we're working on. Yeah, we can absolutely do it. But Unstuck was us wanting to get back into the consulting world, because I feel like my skills don't scale all the way. And it's very difficult to find somebody that has a lot of different multiple disciplines that I can hire that can do a lot of the things I can do. But I can always scale my knowledge. I could sit there and coach you through how to do it yourself until you have the cash flow to hire somebody to do it. And that's where Unstuck comes from. A lot of times when people go into consulting meetings, they leave with this laundry list of things that they got to do. And for most business owners or most agency owners or people that run nonprofits and stuff, that list ends up falling onto the stack of to-dos for the day. And a lot of times the things that are imperative to grow aren't done because it just becomes another task to get done. So with the Unstuck sessions, what we do is we try to laser focus on one. So we come up with a bunch of sticking points that are interfering with your ability to launch or grow or move forward or whatever. And we come up with the list. We figure out which one is probably the one that's holding you back the most. And then in the subsequent meeting, we circle back and address that one thing. And then after we address it, we give you a first couple of steps to get started. And then we schedule a meeting to follow up to see how well you're implementing things. That's what the Unstuck sessions are. It gives you the gift of focus, which eludes a lot of business owners on a day-to-day basis, because focus is a luxury. You got so many different pots boiling that focusing on one means the house burns down. So you got to shift your attention. So if we can give you that one item of focus, that one thing, that log jam that's keeping your business from growing, that's what we do. And if you're interested, I will post, the Calendly link, or matter of fact, let me run the banner here before I get started talking. If you're interested in Unstuck in a sticking points meeting, right now we're going at 100, it's $100 just to get started. And we sit down, we book a time, and we sit down and assess what your sticking points are. And from that point, if you feel like, okay, all I need to know is where I'm stuck at, I just need to know where my barriers are so I can start pushing against them, that's fine. It was money well spent. You have the information that you need to get moving forward. But if you need another additional step, that's when we start talking about taking you on as an Unstuck client to actually take you through our entire consultative process. So you get all the sticking points, and then we figure out which one has priority, and then we attack it viciously until it's blown out of the water and allows you to move forward with your product or service or your growth strategy. So if you're interested, it's mail@isellwords.net. And the Unstuck sessions was imperative for us to get back into the consulting piece because I feel like that's where we can offer the most value as an agency. Consulting and teaching small business owners how to handle and how to do some of this stuff on their own and how to plan out some of this stuff and how to execute some of this stuff by themselves because you may not have the time or resources to hire people all the time. You know, if the thing that's holding your business back from growing is the fact that you don't have a good social media presence, we can teach you exactly how to save time by creating your social media, by basically triaging your social media production or content or whatever, doing it, in one shot, getting a bunch of content and then cutting it up and editing it so you can use it a million times. How to have that evergreen kind of content. That's what we can teach you how to do. We can give you the tools that you can use to cut and edit videos. We can give you the tools you need to record your own audio and voiceovers. We can teach you how to use your cell phone to shoot good quality videos for social media for your business. If it's a pricing conversation, we can sit down and look at what your actual pricing is, look at what your competitors are charging, and figure out a way that you can ask for more money, increase the value of the service offering without having to add a lot to your workflow. Or we can make sure that you're comfortable in asking for what you're worth. If it's a matter of not knowing exactly what clients to pursue, this is where we actually niche down and create a client avatar for you. And we sit down and we ask a lot of questions that seem unrelated, but at the end of the day, they all tie into building out the ideal client for you. Like these are different things that we can offer you, and these are different ways that we wanted to apply the Unstuck ideology to getting people to move forward in their business. So that's what these sessions are about. And the reason why is we had to narrowly focus down on what we wanted to do as a marketing agency. Do we want to help as many people as possible? Yes. Do we have the resources? Do we have the manpower to help every small business owner that requires hands-on, done for you services? We absolutely do not right now. But a million people can view a video, you know. We can have a lot of hour-long consultations with people that teach them ways to maximize their social media presence and get the kind of business that they want. Or we can talk about how to structure an email newsletter and give you the service to use to deliver that to your clients on a monthly basis and spike your traffic. We have a client right now that every time we drop a newsletter, their traffic spikes for specific services because the newsletter is a reminder, it's a monthly reminder, and it's almost like clockwork how they can track. Okay, the newsletter, Brian writes and sends out the newsletter, traffic goes up. It's like clockwork. You can do that for yourself. You can hire us to do it, but it needs to get done. So, and if you don't know how to do it, if that's a sticking point, if that's something that's hindering you, if your knowledge is a sticking point, then learning how to do it is the way that you get unstuck with it. And so that's what you book an Unstuck session for, is to learn how to do it from somebody who does it. So that's what I got today, y'all. I feel like I covered a lot of different ground, but the reality is, it's all related. It's all related to the idea of freeing you and moving you forward to the next point. Being able to say no is a very liberating experience. Being able to say no to a client that isn't appropriate for your services is empowering experience because it gives you more freedom to execute the services the way that you have envisioned, to do the business the way that you want to do your business, and conduct business the way that you want to conduct business. is a very powerful tool, and it helps out a lot. Um, being able to focus on this laser focus on this one thing and have tremendous outcomes, uh, for paying attention to it and not feeling like by focusing on one thing, all these other things are falling into disrepair. Sometimes being able to focus on that one problem, focus on that one issue and solving it allows you a lot of things to stream down and move downstream, and it may even obliterate other potential sticking points. But we're offering the gift of focus. We're offering the gift of being able to focus on one thing at a time. You don't always get that, especially as a business owner. Right now, I have two businesses that I'm kind of managing, and I can guarantee you, I got more than one thing to worry about. So it's always a gift to be able to just focus on one thing. So that's what I got today, y'all. If you have any questions or anything, go ahead and hit me up in email. Mail at isellwords.net is the way to reach me. If you got any feedback, go ahead and leave it in the comments. If you see this at a later time, let me know. If you have any questions for me, personally or whatnot regarding your business, or you are interested in an unstuck session, go ahead and hit us up at mail at isellwords.net so we can get you booked in for your initial sticking points meeting. That's the meeting that we use to gauge what your sticking points are and to help put a plan together so that we can start moving you forward. So I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I'm going to be here every Tuesday. So whether y'all show up or not, I'm here. I will talk to y'all later. Have a great afternoon. Peace.